Quite some time.
USS Enterprise is aflame and out of the fight. Their mission accomplished. The last of the Japanese bombers break off their attack and disappear into the clouds. Desperately, the crews below deck struggle to fight the fires and get control of the ship.
We got orders from main control to go back and try to find out what happened in the steering gear.
Flames and smoke fill the passages, but Chief Machinist Mate William Smith has a secret weapon, the homemade breathing device created by machinist Merle Twible.
I gave it to him, and he said, "I'm going down the steering gear," and he took off and went.
Those fires were raging down and around the engine room quarters, and the temperature gauges registered up to 180 degrees. And those gauges had gone as high as they could go. I've been told that at 145 degrees, the sweat will all disappear from your body. You start having chills, and the linings of your lungs will become charred and seared.
"40 minutes elapse as Smith and the repair teams fight their way to the steering room.
Sure, it was hot down there, and there was smoke, but he saw that hydraulic big valve was in the neutral position.
Smith pushes the valve into gear, and the rudder is now under control. It is Twible's rescue breathing apparatus, or RBA, that literally saves the Enterprise.
If he hadn't have had this RBA with this stuff on it, he wouldn't have been able to get down there as quick as he did.
How these guys survived, I will never know. I think they're the true heroes of that day there, because they got the ship righted, they got the rudder straightened out, they got the gears greased, and they got the ship back on course.
When the USS Enterprise leaves the field of battle at Eastern Solomons, she's hurt. She's hurt bad.
The ship's deck is torn and smoldering. The number 2 and 3 airplane elevators are disabled. Jagged gashes, gigantic holes riddle the hull, and seawater is still flooding into the ship's bowels. And with a malfunctioning radar, the men of Enterprise don't realize that a second wave of aerial assaults has been launched from the gigantic Japanese carriers. In a twist of fate, the Big E's damage actually saves her. The bombers are unable to find Enterprise because she is no longer on course.
Later, the radar picked up a large flight of Japanese planes the southwest of us, where we would have been had we maintained that course. So we think that going in a circle for an hour or two saved us from being hit.
The next day, the wounded giant steams into friendly waters, and the Enterprise's deck becomes the scene of an emotional farewell to the ship's fallen men.
That was a very solemn affair. I can still remember that bugle with its mournful rendition of taps.
We had 2 or 3 boys in caskets, flags draped. We'd line up in attention and say a few words to the chaplain and slide them over the side. That was in respect for the dead.
Those that we had to recover, we put them in a mattress cover with a 53-pound projectile and eased them over the stern while this was going on. Terrible job. I had bad dreams about it for years. Sorry about that. Except for the fact that young Captain Randall moved us to the 20 millimeters. My group of people would have been Someone had been putting us in a mattress cover and putting us over the fantail also.
You was not an 18-year-old boy no more. You was a man. Met you in a hurry. You grew up fast. You grew up fast.
77 men are dead, 91 are wounded, and the Enterprise is no longer invincible.
For the first time, this ship is hit by bombs, and it's instantly realized how vulnerable a carrier is under air attack, and how vulnerable men are serving on a carrier in an air attack.
The battle has devastated Enterprise, but it is a victory for America. The Big E has held off another assault on Guadalcanal. As the great battered carrier sails to the American base at Noumea, New Caledonia for repairs, Japan looks at the scorecard and sees disaster. Enterprise has been hit, but she hit back hard. Enterprise bombers have sunk the carrier Ryujo. 70 planes and their crews are victims of Enterprise's deadly firepower. The giant Japanese carriers Shokaku and Zuikaku are in full retreat. The Big E has stopped Japan's thrust toward Australia, dead in its tracks.
The Japanese plan was to reinforce the garrison on the island of Guadalcanal. And because an American aircraft carrier task force sailed out, met them, engaged them, and fought them in a spirited battle, they didn't make it through.
Guadalcanal remains in American hands. The Battle of the Eastern Solomons is a tactical and strategic U.S. victory. For Harold Smith and his buddies on battleship North Carolina, their violent initiation on August 24th, 1942, will never be forgotten.
We went back to Pearl and went out to the tattoo shops. We put them on our left wrist.
Though faded by time and age, the date still remains on the sailor's skin, an eternal reminder.
And we were going to make a pledge that we'd have a reunion every year on August 24th. Make that as our initiation.
I can relate to why those sailors went and got their tattoos. Of course I can. It was a big day in their life. And I'm sure every day he looks at that, he thanks God that he's alive.
Enterprise has endured her hellish baptism of fire, but at a price. She returns to Pearl Harbor for repairs, and the enemy will seize this opportunity. The Japanese Navy intends another assault on the blood-soaked island called Guadalcanal. Hundreds of Japanese ships will begin steaming down through the island chain, bringing massive reinforcements. When Enterprise returns to battle, she will find herself facing an Imperial fleet that outnumbers the Americans by 2 to 1. And aircraft carriers are their #1 target. Bloodied but unbeaten, Enterprise is about to steam toward another fight.